We believe that to win the hearts and minds of consumers, we have to tell authentic stories. And those authentic stories are right in front of us. They're what the industry is built on. I was talking to a person recently who said that it wouldn't even occur to her that she might ever know the person who put the vodka in the bottle that she just bought. And she would never know the person who put the ready-to-drink cocktail in the can that she just bought. But she could know the person who put the Chardonnay in the bottle that she just bought, and that touched her emotionally.
Welcome to the Wine2wine Vinitaly Business Forum 2025 Chicago edition, where global wine professionals share insights, strategies, and inspiration from this year's conference. Let's dive into today's session and explore the ideas shaping the future of wine.
Okay, you guys, next, very special guest, the Queen of Wine Bible. I remember when I started wine, I knew nothing about wine, and I must confess, your book was one of the first books I've read about wine, about 15 years ago. So please join me in welcoming Karen MacNeil, one of the most respected voices in the world of wine. I'm pretty psyched that you're here with the Italians because you're so famous worldwide, and I think in Italy, we need to work on it a little bit more. So I'm very excited. The author, of course, of the Wine Bible and tireless advocate for making wine accessible and inspiring. In this session, it's called Promoting Wine, Achieving Success in a Hostile Environment. Karen will challenge us to think differently. She'll be talking about, of course, this hostile environment that in many ways, but let's just focus on wine for the moment. And she will challenge us to think differently about communication in today's market. So she'll share strategies for keeping wine relevant, human, hopefully, and resilient. Let's give a warm welcome to Karen MacNeil.
Thank you. Thank you, Stevie. You know, your words about the Wine Bible and Italians reminded me of two things. One is that every time I go to write the Italian chapter of the next edition, first I cry and I'm tempted to write Italy, wine, great, chaos, and now can I go to Germany, please? And I'm right about a place that has real rules that people really apply by. But I did my first experience learning myself about Italian wine many years ago was with an Italian importer who said to me, now, Miss Karen, there's one thing you really need to know about Italy to really absorb the culture before you start writing about Italian wine. And I said, yes, Filippo, what is that? And he said, this is important to know. When an Italian drinks too much, they don't say he has drunk too much. They say he hasn't eaten enough food yet. And that actually did pan out to be the case. So the title of this talk, as Stevie said, includes the words hostile environment. And I have to say that indeed the culture of wine in America can seem a little hostile right now. And we all know the reasons. It seems to me that there's an increasing apathy and boredom in our country, fed by a kind of decline in pleasure. I almost sometimes feel as if nothing has meaning anymore. We've become inured in our world. And we already all know many of the problems that the wine industry faces. We know about generational downshifts. We know about the flattening of consumption by GLP-1 drugs. We know the sort of slick TV dinner mentality of RTDs. It can be demoralizing. So much that I think at times we're frozen into inertia and inaction. But I believe that this is the perfect time for the wine industry to move forward powerfully and with conviction. Why? Because the why of wine is something we all know. It's our story. The story of friendship and family and food and rural communities, cultural bonds, and community forged in the most basic of ways, by eating and drinking together. Wine, it seems to me, is based on an old value system of generosity and humility in the face of nature. Wine is, in fact, authenticity. It's, as I've come to think of it, it is the silent music of nature. It's what fuels our most basic human need to be together. A little over a year and a half ago, one morning, I began imagining, what would it be like if every wine drinker in America did something so simple? They just invited a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, a family member to come over to share some wine. And because I'm a word person, I love the rhyme of Come Over October. So I called two marketing and communications professionals who are also old friends, Kimberly Charles and Gino Colangelo, and asked what they thought of this idea. And I knew that if it was a really bad idea, they would say, take an aspirin and go back to bed. But they both said, oh, this could be important. And so the three of us, with no money and nothing more than our passion for wine and an idea, created the mission-driven company Come Together, a community for wine. We named the company that because wine, which so compellingly brings us together, I think now needs us to come together. So for the last 2 years, the three of us have donated pro bono thousands of hours of our time to Come Over October and to its sister campaign, Share and Pair Sundays. And to those of you in the audience who have helped us move this mountain, Kristen Reitzel and others here, thank you so much. The impact of these campaigns has astounded us. Last year, we reached 2 billion media impressions, another 5 million on social media. More than 1,400 stores across the U.S. are right now doing Come Over October promotions in 43 states, reaching 7 million people in foot traffic. More than 100 wineries, trade groups, and wine companies have joined us, including some of the largest in America: Southern Glazier's Wine and Spirits, Freshen at Mianetto, Jackson Family Wines, Constellation, J. Lohr. From the largest to the very smallest, Tor, Ridge, Ponzi, Farniente. These and scores of international trade groups, Prosecco Doc, Sicilia Doc, the Chianti Classico Consortium. Some of these are financial supporters who have donated money to help our campaigns grow as big as they can, but many are friends who have not necessarily contributed financially, but who do the all-important work of activating these campaigns. The wine media, which can be reluctant, I guess, I will say, has been hugely generous, giving us more than $250,000 worth of free advertising. Our social media impact has been huge. We've harnessed celebrities like Alicia Moore, who's better known as the singer-songwriter Pink. We've conducted video interviews with more than 30 prominent people in the wine business, including Dr. Hobie Wedler, who is at the back of the room also. We've launched consumer wine tasting party kits in conjunction with wine enthusiast magazines. And indeed now, Come Over October is an international movement. It has just been launched in Canada. Come Over October Canada is now a reality. Importantly, we've constructed this campaign to be open source. So all of our materials are free to use. You can find them on our website, table tents, posters, logos. And we encourage companies to take these materials and personalize them a bit. I mean, one of the first entities that personalized Come Over October was the entire state of Texas, who launched now their second campaign called Come Over October, Y'all. So Texan, right? So here are a few things, importantly, I think, that we have learned from doing this campaign. First, a really effective grassroots campaign with communications that reach way down directly to consumers has to have a time and action and a reason. Consumers understood immediately Come Over October. They got it. It was a simple idea. The time was October. The action was buy some wine and invite somebody over. And the reason is because wine brings us together. Second, we believe that to win the hearts and minds of consumers, we have to tell authentic stories. And those authentic stories are right in front of us. They're what the industry is built on. I was talking to a person recently who said that it wouldn't even occur to her that she might ever know the person who put the vodka in the bottle that she just bought. And she would never know the person who put the ready-to-drink cocktail in the can that she just bought. But she could know the person who put the Chardonnay in the bottle that she just bought, and that touched her emotionally. Third, I think we do ourselves a disservice every time we let the discussion be about alcohol. To me, wine is more than alcohol. Wine is threaded into a rich culture and a rich tapestry of culture and art and religion and food. We can't let the alcohol discussion be the discussion. Fourth, I think that by constantly dividing the world of wine drinkers into generational cohorts, we dehumanize wine. We turn it into sets of bland, joyless statistics. I and everyone on the Come Over October team make sure that our messages resonate whether someone is 68, 48, or 28. You know, it is, of course, October right now. So we invite you, if you aren't already doing something for Come Over October, we invite you to join us and create your own Come Over October event, small or large. I believe we can tell the true story of wine's beneficial place in society and culture and everyday living. We can change a negative trajectory into a positive one, and we can revitalize consumer behavior because we have to. So, at a moment that seemed so bleak, our momentum has been both strong and has touched the hearts of everyone who is involved in our campaign. So it is possible to do, and I'm hoping that together we can keep it going. So may I take a few questions for anyone? You all look so serious now. Hobie, yes.
I think what you guys have done with this campaign is nothing short of incredible. I'm blown away by the results. I'm blown away by what you've seen. My question for you today, after this has been running for nearly 2 years, is what is your favorite part of getting every generation, so intergenerational audiences, excited about drinking wine? Not the financial part, but the spiritual, the cultural part. What is it that really stimulates you and makes you tick?
Thank you, Hobie, for that fabulous question. You know, I have thought a lot about what is it that caused all of us to fall in love with wine? And what is it, when you hear about all the people who don't drink wine, first I feel sorry for them. I feel like, oh, your life would be so much richer if you just did. But I think, how do you reach someone who has only occasionally ever drunk wine? They're not a wine drinker. What is it that would convince that person? And I've become increasingly convinced that it's expressing our own joy, our own happiness that is infectious, and that we actually don't do that enough. I'm reminded of a movie When Harry Met Sally, right? That scene where the guy says, I'll have what she's having, right? For all of us, someone took us aside or just handed us a glass of wine, and we got excited because they were excited. If all any of us ever did for the rest of this year was reach 10 people by turning them on to wine by virtue of our own passion for it, the wine industry would be better off. It doesn't have to start big. It can start really small. Come Over October started really small, but 2 billion consumers reached via the media. That's a big result for something that started so small. Just one woman's idea. Sir.
Just with your expertise, what do you think would be the best way to go about, if you compare Italy versus the U.S., just as far as the food and wine culture goes? Italy's, arguably it's probably the best place in the world for just food and wine culture, and to kind of normalize things and make it in America more like Italy, where wine, it's not this aristocratic beverage that's for older, rich people, where it's just a special drink, where it's just a normal thing that you have. It goes together with food, and the wine makes the food better, and the food makes the wine better. Whereas, still today in the U.S., while it's gotten better, I know if I go into a random bar, sit down, and get a glass of white wine, the other guys at the bar are probably going to, make jokes, make fun of you, like, oh, that's for your wife, what are you having, type of thing.
They only do that when you're drinking rosé, I'm sure, but all right.
Yeah, even worse maybe. But just with your expertise, what do you think would be the best way to go about just, normalizing it and making it not that where it's a special thing for rich older people?
So the point is, what would be the best way to normalize wine in America? The simple acts of eating and drinking in the way the Italians do so well. The Italians certainly have it, right? They get that wine owns romance, it owns togetherness, it owns food, and they live that philosophy every single day. I, for one, though, do not believe that America's problem, quote unquote, is that wine is too expensive or too elitist or any of those things. Wine is a very big industry, right? There are wines that are get the party started wines. There are wines that should cost a lot of money and should make everybody at the table pause and say, oh my God, I have never had anything like this before. So I don't think it's a price problem, and I don't think it's a product problem. I think it's a perception problem. And the only way we change that perception is by living our belief in the way that the Italians do. A few years ago, I went to lunch to interview an executive of an important wine company. It was lunchtime. The waiter came over and said, how about a glass of wine? This executive looked at me and I said, no, it's fine. It's lunch. And the executive ordered a glass of wine, and then he leaned over to me and he said, you've just done something really in bad form. You're in the business. I don't care if you drink it, but you have to order it. You have to live this life. And from then on, I'm happy to report all lunches have been better as a result of ordering wine every time.
I just want to, this is Gino Colangelo, I'm up there on that slide, but Barbara Fitzgerald is here, and she is our project manager, and she's been amazing. So if you have any questions about Come Over October, you can ask me, Karen, or Barbara, and Barbara is our go-to person, and she can help you activate any campaign, and it's not too late. There's a whole month ahead of us.
Late.
So Anyway, just
Thank
wanted
you,
to acknowledge
Barbara.
Barbara and her great work.
And there's a question up here.
Actually, I have a
we are-
question. So,
Oh.
you've been teaching generations and generations of wine professionals and also, I would say, communicators. What are some things that they've done or like some serious mistakes that you think that they should stop doing immediately?
I think we communicate far too much about numbers and not enough about meaning. I read a book recently called The Power of Meaning. And the idea is, why do certain times in our lives, why do certain times hold meaning? And other moments just come and go. We will never remember them. And the first paragraph of this book cites a study that the authors did where they made a presentation to a group of 60 people. And then an hour later, they asked what the people who had been in the presentation remembered. Almost 75% of the people remembered a story that was told during that presentation. Only 5% remembered a number. And yet, every day, if you're in the wine business, certainly I look at technical sheets that are just number after number after number after number that come in and go out. We just somehow are afraid to tell the story of our own passion. I live in Napa Valley now, and I recently asked 5 winemakers. I took them one by one into a room. They knew they were going to get videoed. I told them there was only one question. I didn't tell them what the question was ahead of time. So the camera's rolling, and I said to each of them, "Why is wine important?" And you can see, because the camera is rolling, that they didn't know what to say. And I thought, when 5 of the most prominent winemakers in the Napa Valley do not know how to answer the question, why is wine important? There's some work to be done in communications. In fact, I have subsequently asked that question to everyone I can think of, because I want everybody in this room to be able to have the camera rolling and know exactly what you would say to answer that question. I think all of the people you work with should be able to answer that question. So from a communication standpoint, somehow we're not going to touch anybody's heart by reciting percentages of new oak or any other thing. As important as those statistics might be, they should not be the first effort at communication, because that's a failing methodology, in my opinion.
Okay, we have to
Anyone
kind of
else?
wrap it up. Is there anyone with a dire question for Karen?
Oh, this lady up here, Stevie.
Yes, I'd just like to add what you said about wine is enjoyment, but one of the most important aspects is as well the wine. I've studied last 20 years. The wine, every glass of wine, red wine, every day is for our health, for our heart. I have a 5-heart surgery, and the doctors say, take no medicine. It's everyday red glass of true wine is the best medicine for your health. So this is also extra aspect according to enjoyment, but also it's perfect medicine for our heart, for our health.
Thank you, everyone. And remember, it's October.
Thank you so much, Karen MacNeil. I think Why is Wine Important? I think that should be the title of your next book. I think she has so much to say. Thank you so much, Karen MacNeil.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.